Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willowbound Journals, and this is my reading journal. I'm going to do a flip through of it today and also do some journaling in there, catching up on some of the books that I've read. I picked up this book from the op shop, thrifted it, and I just really loved the colour, the beautiful teal. It was a bit ripped up, but that is fine. I just re-glued the binding together, or the spine, and it's a Jane Eyre book, so I thought how fun to use a book as the base for my reading journal. I put a list of all the books that I read in 2022 on the inside cover, and then on the first page I continued that list into 2023. And I am currently keeping a list of the books I'm reading this year in my Daphne's Diary journal. But yeah, I think I will use the back cover of this journal to add those books from 2024 and maybe even 2025. So yeah, here's just a look at how I've been using it. I record what type of book it was, whether it was a book I own, a book I borrowed from a friend or from the library, if it was an ebook or an audiobook, that kind of thing. I go on to why I read it and then my thoughts about the book. Sometimes I include a quote that I really liked from the book. And yeah, just have fun decorating the pages, sometimes doing a little drawing here or there, but adding some stickers, washi tape, and just having a bit of fun documenting these books. So as I do a flip through of this and go on to journal in here, I wanted to do the Booktube newbie tag. I have seen this tag for quite a while now and I love it. I love tags. I love anything to do with questions. So I think they're really fun. And the other thing that I put on my pages is a rating for each book. So a star rating out of 5 stars. And one day I want to share a video about my rating system as well. But anyway, yeah, this Booktube newbie tag. I am venturing sort of into the world of Booktube, but on my channel. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? Well, I'm not really starting a whole new Booktube channel because that is too much effort. I have tried starting separate channels and it got a bit too confusing, a bit too complicated for me to keep switching accounts to upload videos. Sometimes I would accidentally upload a video to the wrong account and yeah, it just got too hard. So what I decided, instead of creating a separate Booktube channel, which I would love to do, I just don't have sort of the time to do that or the energy at the moment, is to just include some Booktube videos right here on this channel. And why am I starting to share Booktube videos on my channel? Well, I love books. I'm actually thinking about adding books or reading to my list of core values. So if you follow my channel for a while or taken one of my courses, specifically the Intentional Life course, you know that I love living a values-based life, and I have a list of core values that I try to sort of live by. And one of them that I'm thinking of adding is reading and books. And I've really been getting into reading a lot more this year, but I've been a lifelong reader. I've always loved books, and I love talking about books. I love just sharing about books that I've read and hearing from other people who have read books as well and who love books. So that's kind of why I'm starting Booktube on my own channel every now and then, just to share my love of books and to chat books with other fellow book lovers. So the next question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? So I guess something unique is the fact that it's not its own separate Booktube channel. It's pretty much my crafting channel and my journaling channel. So I bring those other topics to this channel as well. And case in point, my reading journal combines creativity with journaling, with my love of reading. So I think that's something fun and unique that I could bring. Another thing is, I've got sort of 4 interests when it comes to my booktube videos and reading and like interest in general. But I love creativity and craft. I love writing and journaling, and I do write books as well. So coming from that background of being a writer, when I read books and can talk about books, I sort of read it with that lens from a writer's perspective. Like, how do they craft the story? What's going on there? What techniques are they using? And what can I learn from how authors are writing their books? And the other aspect is I'm also reading from a lens of a, I guess, philosopher. I love reading books to not only be entertained and read a good book, and not only to learn about writing, but also to learn about life. I love books that can change my opinion, that can give me a new perspective. I love books that can make an impact on my behavior and actually affect how I live. I definitely believe that books can change a life, because I've seen how books have changed my own life and my own thoughts and my own behavior and my own attitudes. So I love sort of reading with these multiple lenses, as a reader, as a writer, and as a person who likes to think and live and all that kind of thing. Okay, so the next question is, what are you most excited about for your channel? So again, I'm kind of tailoring these questions to the booktube part of my channel. Just most excited about chatting about books. Like, I've always read, I'm always reading, but I'm excited to actually share something I love. The reason why I started my channel in the first place was because I loved junk journals so much that I wanted to share my joy. I wanted to share my passion for journaling. So same thing with books. I have a real passion for reading, maybe an equal passion, because I love reading and writing pretty much equally. Because I don't know, they kind of go hand in hand. So I've got a really, really strong passion for reading and books, and so I want to talk about them and share that joy. Also excited for the Willow Book Club. That sort of is an extension of this channel. So a little while ago, I asked if anyone was interested in an online book club, and I got so much interest in it, and people saying start. And one lady especially said start immediately, and I was like, whoa, okay, let's do it. So it was literally that comment that made me start it straight away. And it's really fun just to talk books with other book lovers, and we are reading a book a month. You don't have to read a book a month, absolutely. You can still be part of the book club and just chat books about what you're reading. I always say as well, if you start the book but don't want to finish it, that is totally okay too. Totally okay. What else? This is the next question. What challenges do you foresee from starting a booktube channel? Again, I'll tailor that to adding booktube videos to my channel. So the challenge for me is I'm not sure how frequently I will upload booktube videos. They might be very intermittent, very few and far between, but I would like to share more about books. A challenge is, just filming them in general. And I guess also, I'm not sure if there'll be any interest in it or much interest in it, because I know most people are here on my channel for the crafting, for the junk journals, for the creativity, and a lot of you might not be interested at all in the reading videos. But I would love to, that's why I was considering starting a whole new booktube channel, so I could only meet booktube people, so I could meet people who love books and find like lots of people who I can become friends with and chat about books with. I'm just not sure how much interest there'll be for book videos on my channel, but I am keen to meet as many people to talk about books with. The next question is, why do you love reading? Wow, there's so many reasons, but I'll give a bit of an overview. I guess purely at the start, it was, I just love imagination. I love exploring different worlds. I love how a book is a way to travel without leaving your room. I love entering other people's minds, like not just other worlds, but the world of other people's minds. I love, like I said, having my perspective changed and learning new things. And Keanu, my cat, says hi in the background. But growing up, I did read a lot for escapism and just the joy of being in a different world that wasn't this world. Like, often the book world was way more fun than the real world, that type of thing. So I read it as a reader for joy, for entertainment, for entering into new worlds, but also as a person who lives and thinks. I love being able to enter those other worlds, get to know how other people think, be exposed to different ideas and views and ways of doing and being and thinking and seeing. I love learning and growing through the books I read as well. I just think books are amazing. Like, as much as I love journaling, I love books. I think they are incredible. And if I get too deep about it, I will maybe even start to cry and get emotional about it, because there are actually no words to describe what they do, because it's a soul thing. Books do something to the soul. The written word, it's so powerful. It does something to the soul. Like music, there are some things that are just transcendent, but they're true, and you feel it in your soul. And I don't know, that's what books are. So anyway, the next question is, when did you start reading? Well, again, I can't really remember a time that I didn't read. I grew up in a house that had a library in one of its rooms, and it was just outside my room. Like, as soon as I walk out my door, there's the library. So I loved sitting next to the bookcase and reading books, and I would take the books into my room and I'd read books there. And on weekends, from the moment I got up to the moment I went to bed, I would be reading. Even when I had lunch and dinner, I was still reading. I had a tray on my lap to eat, and I would be reading while I ate. So I have been reading since I was very small for a long time, and I'm a lifelong reader. The next question is, what book or series got you into reading? Well, the earliest books that I can really remember were little golden books. We had a whole stack of them on the bottom shelf of one of our bookcases in the library, and I would just read those. There was Cinderella, there was The Pokey Little Puppy, there was a Sesame Street one, there was a nursery rhyme one. There were like a whole stack of little golden books, and I had it in mind to maybe go and find all of the little golden books I had as a kid. I won't actually do that because I'd only get the ones that really meant something to me, like Cinderella and Alibaba and the 40 Thieves and Aladdin and The Little Mermaid and Alice in Wonderland. These books, I grew up reading those. But then also after that, it was Enid Blyton. I grew up reading her in primary school. And then after that, it was Morris Gleitzman and Paul Jennings. I really, really loved their writing, especially Paul Jennings. His writing really shaped me as a writer. So anytime I wrote stories for school, they were really heavily inspired by Paul Jennings and his series, Unreal, Unbelievable, Uncovered, all of those books. I would read those all the time. I loved those stories. Anyway, and then after that, when I was in year 7, I read The Belgariad, which was my very first fantasy series, and that got me into fantasy. Okay, so the next question is, where do you read? I read in my bed, or on my bed. It's cozy, it's comfy. Occasionally I might read at a cafe or at the beach, but generally it's just on my bed. The next question is, what genres do you like to read? Well, it's funny because when I was a kid and growing up, I was exclusively a fiction reader. When I went to uni, I became sort of exclusively a non-fiction reader, and by the time I got to uni, what happened was I was a reader my entire life. Then in year 12, when it was, we're studying for exams and everything, I stopped reading in year 12 because, it was just hectic and busy. And it took me a while to get back into reading. And then at uni as well, because you're always reading textbooks all the time. So I just found I didn't want to read anymore in my spare time because I was just all readed out from all my studies. And then how I got back sort of into reading in my uni days was through nonfiction, because I discovered the world of nonfiction. And literally all my books on my shelf were all nonfiction back then. So it's kind of stuck there now. Like nonfiction has stuck with me, but I've now added fiction back into my world of reading, which I love. So now I kind of read a bit of everything. I love my nonfiction. I love memoirs. I love self-help books, self-discovery, self-growth books. I love psychology books. I love philosophy and theology books. That's the types of books I like in the nonfiction world. In the fiction world, I do love fantasy, and I do. I don't know. With fiction, it's a bit different because growing up, I obviously liked middle school books and teenage books for that kind of genre. As a young adult, I missed the whole young adult genre because in my young adult years I was reading nonfiction. So young adult, I kind of skipped that, and I'm reading a bit more of that now that I've got back into fiction. But because I never read young adult books while I was actually a young adult, they never really held my interest that much. So now I sort of read a mix of everything, not because I like it necessarily, but because what I like to do is read widely as a reader, as a writer, to learn and be exposed to different writing styles, be exposed to different genres. And that's why I read as well, not just to read a good book that I will enjoy, but to read to broaden my horizons type thing, and to learn and to grow. So something I like to do is just read the best books in different genres, because even if I don't enjoy reading it, I'm still getting something out of it by learning about the craft. I'm learning about the craft of writing, and why is this a bestseller? Why is this an award-winning book? What is it about this book? And I can analyze it for that, and still get something out of it, even if it's not a genre that I particularly enjoy. For example, I'm not really a literary fiction fan. It's probably one of my least favorite genres. I don't really like romance. I'm not really into contemporary, so maybe it's young adult. I'm kind of exploring that world and just taking up reading the bestsellers in different categories, and that kind of thing, because I figure even if I don't enjoy it, I'll get something out of it anyway. All right, so the next question is favorite books. I could dedicate a whole video just to this question, but in a nutshell, my all-time favorite book is Blue Like Jazz by Donald Miller, which is a non-fiction book. I have a lot of all-time favorite books that are non-fiction, so that's one of them. I love the Tomorrow When the War Began series. There's 7 books in it, and that is a book series by one of my favorite authors, John Marsden, who also shaped my writing. After Paul Jennings, John Marsden really shaped the stories that I wrote. One of my favorite books from early on is People Might Hear You. That is the first book that I ever sort of connected with emotionally. No, actually that's a lie. I also connected really emotionally with The Naughtiest Girl in the School, and The Naughtiest Girl in the School 2. That became my favourite book when I was a child. And then currently this year, my favourite book that I've read so far this year is Anxious People by Frederick Backman. So good, loved it. I've read some really good books this year actually. Another one I really enjoyed was a non-fiction memoir called You Could Make This Place Beautiful. I really loved it, not so much for the content, but for the structure, for the style it was written in. It was absolutely amazing. I want to own a copy so I can analyze it and learn from it with my own writing, and just be inspired by it. So off the top of my head, those are a few of my favorite books. And the final question for this Booktube newbie tag is, what does your book collection look like? So at one stage I will film a look at my book collection. It's not that large at the moment. It consists of 2 shelves in a bookcase, and I used to have a much larger collection, but because I've moved house and I've moved state over the last 10 years, I moved from Melbourne to Bowen 10 years ago, and then I moved house, 1, 2, 3 times since then as well. So because when you're moving, you cull things, and I got rid of most of my books in those moves. So I was really down to the bare minimum, like my ultra favorites. That's all I kept. So I've slowly over the years started buying books again to add to my collection. But I'm very selective with my book buying. In fact, I had a book buying ban one year where I only borrowed books from the library, and that was really great. But slowly now I am doing this thing where I will try to only either borrow books from friends or borrow from the library, and then if they're cheap, I'll pick them up, or from the op shop. I have been purchasing books from the op shop, where they're only 50 cents to $1, $2 maybe at the most, and that has been really good as well. But when I buy books from the op shop, I tend to donate them once I've read them, unless it was really amazing. So that's only happened once so far. I've bought maybe 7 books from the op shop so far, and all of them but one I'm keeping. So that's been a good way, like a cost-effective way of being able to read books, but then also pass them back on when I'm finished, so I'm not taking up space with books I'm never going to read again. But one book, that one, Anxious People, that I got from the op shop, I am keeping that one. I absolutely love it, and I definitely want to reread it. So what was I saying? When I borrow a book or go to the library, what I do is I test the waters, see what books I like, and the ones that I absolutely love, then I can go ahead and purchase those. My sister gave me that idea. She only borrows books from the library throughout the year, and then she chooses 5 that she will buy. So the 5 that she buys at the end of the year are the ones that she will definitely reread again, and that add value to her life and that kind of thing. So I love that idea. And I kind of want to take that up myself. So only borrow from the library, that kind of thing, and then only choose 5 that I add to my collection, just because my room is already so packed that I'm really limited in my space. And I do only want to keep books that I will read again, that I absolutely love, that add value to my life, and of course good to save money as well. But when it comes to, this is one of the reasons why I never travel, because in the back of my mind I always think one day I would like to travel, but in reality I don't know if I ever will travel, because if it's between travel and books, hands down my money will always go to books before travel. That question of what do you spend your money on most? For me it was craft supplies, journals and books, and to me that's a happy life. If I can create, read and write and just spend all my days doing that, that is a happy life. I don't need to travel. I don't need to go on, big holidays overseas or anything. But, if that's, I know other people who love travel, and that's something that they save up for every year. For me, I'll save for books. So that is the final question. And one day I would love to do sort of a book tour. And I sort of want to really get my bookcase looking nice, because just as the rest of my room, I've got it the way I like it now, with my gallery wall and all my supplies set up in the way that I like. It's sort of like what happened is the rest of my life sort of got neglected because crafting took over. And it was only in the last year or so that I put my bookcase, put books back on my shelf. They were in storage before. And I just wanted to have more of me in my room. It felt like I was being squashed out of my own room by my craft supplies. So once I put my books in my room and I see them every day now, it makes me so happy. It's like, there's my books. There they are. Because they feel like they're a part of me, a part of my identity, not just the crafting side of me. And so to make more room for my books is a way to honor that part of myself that loves reading. It's a way to honor the part of myself that really values reading. And because I know it's one of my core values, I want to, make space for it and celebrate it. And one way I can do that is by adding some fairy lights around my bookcase. I think that would be so cool, because then it's like, oh, look, there's my books all lit up, all fancy, because I already have my gallery wall lit up with fairy lights. But I'd love my bookcase also to be lit up with fairy lights, and to have a book nook. If it wasn't for my beautiful cat, I would create a little book nook where his little cat area is, where his litter tray, his food bowls, and his scratching post and toys. He's got his own little cat nook in my room. And he is my priority over my books for sure. So for now, there's a cat nook in my room rather than a book nook. But yeah, one day I would love a book nook as well. I'd love a nook for my books, for my journals, and for my craft. Those are my 3 passions in terms of like hobbies. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to me ramble. There's sort of different elements that I love. Yeah, talking about writing, talking about reading, talking about crafting on my channel, as well as other topics, of course, like psychology, mental health, faith, well-being, all that kind of stuff. I want to bring all of that to this channel. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you are a fellow book lover, and if you want to answer any of these questions, feel free to do that too. I'll put them down in the description box, as well as a link to the Willow Book Club if you're interested in joining that and you just want to chat about books. I would be keen to learn anything about, what you're reading, what books are your favorite, what genres you love most, what got you into reading, where do you read, why do you read? I love books. Anytime someone can talk about books with me, I'm happy. And yeah, I look forward to doing some more Booktube videos in the future. If you have any requests of what kind of Booktube videos you would like to see, or just any videos in general that you would like to see on my channel, feel free to leave them in the comments as well, or you can contact me anytime through email, or you can find me. There's all the ways to find me down in the description box below as well. So yeah, I think that's about it. I have been wanting to do this Booktube newbie tag forever. Oh my goodness. I feel so glad to have finally done it. I love all the tags. All right, so yeah, I am just continuing to journal inside my reading journal, just catching up on these books that I read, but I will continue to do that off camera, and we'll touch base with you later on about books. A big special thank you to all my beautiful patrons who supported Willowbound Journals and this YouTube channel in June. If you'd like to become a patron, where you get access to all my extra videos, including a journal making series each month, and depending on your tier, every printable from my Etsy shop or mail sent out to you in the post, you can become a patron by clicking the link below in the description box. By becoming a patron, you also get access to all of my members' videos. You can also just become a YouTube member if you want to support this channel by clicking the join button and selecting whichever tier suits you. You can become a member for as little as $1 per month, and every cent helps. So I am so thankful to all of you who support my YouTube channel and my creative dreams.